He's back. The captain's back. I did that intro when he was on the show, and now I can do it because Alejandro Bedoya is back with the Philadelphia Union for one more year. One more year.
That's
Welcome
right.
to the PHOI Union podcast. We've got Tyler Zulli, JP Zapata, Renee Washington here, and all of you guys joining us in the chat. Dan, Jillian, what's up? It's definitely been an eventful couple of days for the Union. We've got all of that to get into. The Ali Bedoya news, Oliver Zemla. We also will talk about the rosters that have dropped around the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Leagues Cup has made some changes. Inter Miami just got whomped. Listen, a lot is going on in the soccer world. And the most exciting thing that I've heard out of the sports world today is around SpongeBob. But JP, how are you?
I'm feeling great. Obviously, this morning I was like, wow, what are we going to talk about? PHOI Union. Then all of a sudden, all these news feeds came on my phone here. And I was like, well, we're going to have ourselves a great show here today. So a lot of good stuff to get to. I think the most important part, bless you. I think something we all knew that was going to come.
Thank you.
Alejandro Bedoya, we all knew. We all had the rumblings that he would be back, but it's official here today. So I think today, Renee, it's a day of celebration because Ali is back. The captain is back.
And what a great way to kick off February. We've got Black History Month. We've got more scrimmages and friendlies happening, but we're also going to have the start of the MLS season, and Saprissa game is going to be happening. So this month marks a lot of exciting things to come in 2024.
Who said February sucks for sports?
I know. It's incredible. Franco, what's up? Yeah, Captain America is back.
Go.
And on the other side, not only do we have the exciting news, but yes, Inter Miami got thumped. Even without Ronaldo, Messi didn't play until late. Anyways, but we'll get there. So listen, I never felt like today was going to be a slow day because I remember on Tuesday when we had our live show, as we were wrapping up, the rosters dropped. It was like 4:14, and I started seeing, I know you guys were talking about it in the chat at that time. We were getting ready to wrap up the show, and it was one of those things. It's like, listen, it's breaking news, but it's breaking news that we have to wait on. We need time to this needs time. We got to look into it. We have to figure out more specifics. What does this mean? All that. So we will get into the rosters that dropped on Tuesday, because of course, since then we've had more pressing news that has happened. Let's start with the captain, of course. Now, I do want to preface all of these updates for today with saying we've been manifesting some of these things, JP.
Yeah, that's right.
Some of the news that we've heard, goalkeeper signing, Ali Bedoya coming back, Ali Bedoya's contract specifically, are things that we've talked about on PHOI Union that we feel like should happen. So I'm not going to toot our own horn or anything, but toot toot. So the news broke today. Alejandro Bedoya is coming back. He has signed a new contract. Breaking news, he's returning. There he is, Mr. Bedoya on your screen. New contract for 2024, where he's returning as a first-team player, but is also going to be taking on a new role as player development and front office specialist. So with this, he becomes a mixture in a role of being a player, but also in a way a coach, which is something that I know we've talked about here on the show. And Ali Bedoya is that guy. He's the leader. He's a veteran. He's a captain. He already has been a coach. This now is officially giving him that title. And I know he was talking about just the excitement about Philadelphia as home, the Union as his club, and how he didn't want to be anywhere else in Major League Soccer besides right here with the Union. This is where he wanted to stay. And the development and ever-evolving success of both the team and the organization from the first day he started to here has been nothing short of incredible, as Ali mentioned. And so he's grateful, and he's continuing to give everything he can to the organization and looking forward to a successful 2024. We all are, Ali. We all are.
Hell yeah.
But I feel like partly why this deal took so long, now knowing what we know, is because of the fact they had to figure out how to bring him back in a way that could contribute in other ways. And actually, that's what Ernst Tanner was saying, not to take his words, but I figured a 1-year deal would make sense for him. And why is it taking so long? So now knowing this, what Ernst Tanner was saying, They had to figure out how they can bring him back to the club where he could continue to contribute to the team and in the player professional development role. They were trying to figure out those logistics and nuances, and it probably took longer for the off-field role versus on the field role. So exciting news to see him in this, JP, because I know you were talking about that even on Tuesday as recently, that Ali would make sense to be a player coach.
Yeah, I was almost right on that, but this is probably a better suited job for him.
Yeah.
Let's not forget he's been going through business school. So now that he has that knowledge, he has that education, that's something good that can convert into what could possibly be him with the Philadelphia Union, a front office role as well. But it's crazy how we all come full circle here. You know, during the season, we talked about the rumor, a 20-second conversation to say goodbye to your captain. To now we're talking about Ali being here for possibly 5, maybe 10 years, knock on wood, as he probably converts into a front office role here. But I'm curious about if there was any sense of urgency with the signing of this, because Renee, when I look at Ali in the free agency pool this past offseason, he was the best vet. Like, by far, he was the best vet. And if you're some of these playoff teams, you would look at a player like Alejandro Bedoya to add on to your team to be that missing piece. But instead, Ali's front was pretty quiet until we got the news the past couple of weeks that it's getting close. You know, you heard Tom Bogart every time. We're getting closer, but we weren't getting there yet. And until the news finally came here today. I think this is great. Ali, obviously, we all know his worth, his value to this club, especially to the history of this team. I mean, the statue better be built once he finally retires, because when you think of the Philadelphia Union, I think of obviously Sebastian Letou. I think of Andre Blake, but for sure, I think of Alejandro Bedoya, captain. He's a big goal scorer for this team too. Has been a huge part of the development that we have been doing as well here. But I think this is the best case scenario. So it looks like it's just a 1-year deal, and this is legit. Now the last dance. All right, this is the last dance. We can make the Netflix documentary now. So it's all for Ali. Hashtag do it for Ali this year, right?
Yeah, it is. Ali Bedoya has appeared in it's been 247 MLS games. His career here, as you talk about, has cemented him as one of the best names to ever come through Philly sports, honestly, bigger than just the Union.
I like you said that.
Yeah, and because he absolutely has had such a big role since he joined the club in 2016, of also just being that guy that connects so well with fans and with the next generation of players. I know he was talking about that even on our show, of just how he's, surrounded by the young guys in the locker room. He has Jack and Nate and Quinn. They're sitting around him. And in that moment, he was just telling a story about it. But when you really take a step back and think about what that means, your captain is sitting in the locker room with the youngest guys for a reason. Yeah. And so this role is perfect for him. He's already been acting in this role as the bridge between the youngsters, the veterans, the team, and the coaches. He's been that in between already. So I know, as you guys are mentioning in the chat, Kyle will join. Yeah, it's a great day. What's up, Will? And Kyle. And it's definitely a huge opportunity for him, because he has been that voice for so many things on and off the pitch. That's why he's been, someone that we see as a humanitarian and winning awards for it, because he has been actively championing and leading the charge on so many different initiatives around the team, around the league, around soccer, around diversity in soccer, around opportunities. So I think it's a great way, because now we officially know the writing is way on the wall. Yeah. This is it. 1-year deal. Ink that today. That now we know this is our chance to really enjoy Ali Bedoya, the player. Yeah. Get to see him this is like the farewell tour for him. And now we can appreciate and take time to celebrate him, which is what we felt robbed of last year when we heard that news of a 22-minute conversation leading to him possibly being out the door. Now we know, okay, his future as a player is short, but we know there's an opportunity for him to still be with the club moving forward. And now we can just appreciate who he is and what he's done here. So I'm excited for this 2024 season even more, because there's always that extra emotion and excitement when you have a player that's getting ready to retire, that you now can go into the season preparing, and every final game versus an opponent, or every final time you're at a certain field, or you're going to get a chance to give him his flowers and celebrate him. And then even hopefully that carries into a contagious way of helping the team have extra motivation. Hashtag do it for Ali. Just saying.
I like that. So now we're talking about preparation for 24. The big question mark for me, and I want to hear from Jim because I think we all have an idea.
Yeah.
But what is Allie's role with the field, with the squad this year? I think we all expect him to be as that super sub coming off the bench. But I think a lot of us do want to know exactly, hear from Jim, what he expects from Allie. Because, listen, up until last year, mostly because of injury, but Jim has been running Allie for 90 minutes consistently for a lot of matches, and especially as he's gotten older. So I really want to hear that concrete answer. And I'm curious. So it's a really good point you bring up. Will they do like a Derek Jeter-esque type of tour?
Absolutely.
And
I
he
would
deserves
expect
it for
we
sure.
See it in every sport, in every league.
He's well respected.
When a player makes it known this is it, you now have the final farewell tour. And take a page out of Gotham's book in the NWSL. Allie Krieger, it was her final season.
Amen.
And all season they were giving her flowers at every game and saying this is it and doing it for Kriegs. And then they won the NWSL championship. So no pressure or anything, but finish out with some hardware for your captain. Now this role specifically, just to talk about the off the roll side, and then I do want to touch on kind of what you were mentioning in his role as a player.
Yeah. So
the player professional development role is something that the MLS does allow for every club to designate one player as that position.
Okay.
And within that, they have the responsibilities to contribute in different parts of the club's business. They're also involved in coaching and front office duties, diversity liaison. And so with this role, Ollie's going to have a chance to support the union in a number of initiatives, helping with marketing, helping with the digital and social media side. Of course, his hand's not going to be in all of these, but he would have a voice. He would have a seat at the table. And it just gives him a chance to also help with providing some innovative ideas for player development, as well as just being a mentor to the club's younger players. So a lot of these things he was already doing unofficially, essentially, and it now just puts him in an official role with a title to it, that he's going to be helpful in the overall approach to player rotation, mentoring, marketing, the plan moving forward, the development process, and that's going to be huge for him. Yeah. Now, as a player specifically, I would like to see him be an off the bench, contributor.
For sure.
I see in the chat, Dan, you're mentioning he could be a spot starter, more likely a super sub. Yeah, I think he's more, and Kyle, you're saying the same thing, as a super sub and spot starter. I think you get him the occasional starts. I think you get him the opportunities maybe when, someone else is injured or just needs a rest, that Allie can give you good minutes as a starter, but you don't need him to be that. Yeah. And so back to I'm going to loop this all around, because we of course know Allie was not on the CONCACAF roster.
That's right.
I wouldn't be surprised if he stays that way.
Okay.
And they manage his minutes also too, because he is older. This is probably it. As we know, we haven't heard the official "this is it" announcement, but this is probably it. So I wouldn't be surprised if they even manage, and maybe he's not taking an official roster spot for like the CONCACAF roster, for example, because he can still swing in there if needed because of the rules and the number of players that the union have listed on the roster. We'll get there. But I think they're going to be more creative with picking and choosing when he's starting, when he's rostered, when he's a super sub, when he's maybe not playing at all in the game.
Yeah, I think that's super important that you mentioned there, is managing those games. As we talk about, there's going to be a lot of tournaments, a lot of competition. So that's definitely, they're going to have to find a way to manage that. And Renee, I'm not going to lie to you, when I first saw this news, and Tyler, you'll get this one too, I'm thinking to myself, he's going to be in a front office role. We're going to have the next Danny Briere in Philly. Are you kidding me? 2032 MLS Cup champs.
It's kind of funny when the first thing I thought of when you hear like dual role front office player, my mind immediately goes to semi-pro, player, owner, coach, Jackie Moon. Kind of getting those vibes a little bit.
I'm not going to lie, I do too. But I envision it like extreme. Like you're fully, like I always go to the ridiculous too of like, you're on the side, you're playing on the field and you're running on the sideline, popping a whistle in your mouth. Beep. Okay, subs, let's get so-and-so. And then you're like back on the field, like this extreme.
Did you buy those nachos at the concession stand? No, I brought them from home. And he punts the nachos.
Tyler's bringing up one of my favorite movies right now. That's a good scene.
That's a great comparison.
Love me sexy.
Okay.
Great movie.
Oh,
yeah, but yeah, I would love to see. Imagine Allie in those meetings with Ernst. Allie's asking questions. Ernst is like, "No, that's not how it works." Like, I would love to be a fly in that wall right there.
I would too.
More Ali. Give us more Ali. And I think everyone's on board too. I think I think we all are under the understanding that Ali should be that super sub. But with Jim, you never know. So I just need that. I need that validation from Jim.
Yeah, I agree. But I do like the thought of him like running on the sideline, helping the coach. Hey, Jim, let's try this. And then running back on the field and like, I don't know. But that is like the comedy side of what I picture when I think of like a dual role player coach. For sure.
Yeah. And this year it's also going to be important. Like, I think a lot of us want to see Jesus Bueno take that role, take that position. And having Ali still here, I think that's super huge. And hopefully Jesus does take that job. Like, he deserves it. After a year he had, I mean, Instagram stories, especially in Philadelphia, we've seen plenty of Ben Simmons Instagram stories here. But the Jesus Bueno, Ben Jesus Bueno Instagram stories have been pretty motivational. So hopefully he comes out, steals that job, and we don't have to rely on Ali a lot.
Could not agree more. And thank you guys that are in the chat. Hit that thumbs up button. I know Travman's talking about Lewis Hamilton. Will saying Jackie Moon is a legend. Yes, indeed, to that. And
Well, with that said, let's talk about with one of our great sponsors here, ladies and gentlemen. I want to talk to you today about Bagels & Co., ladies and gentlemen. They have Brooklyn-style bagels, but they are made with that Philly love that we all love, ladies and gentlemen. And, of course, ladies and gentlemen, they are extremely economical. They are huge bagels. If you guys were there for the Reading Terminal Day, you guys saw the Bagels & Co. that we had there. That's the actual size that you see there. And then, like I mentioned, they are economical, the best prices as well, with the largest variety of bagels, 15 to 20 different types that they have to choose from daily. And the largest cream cheese variety that they have as well, 30 different types of cream cheese spreads there. They cater to very Philly sports teams. So we're banking on Bagels & Co. to get that blue and gold for the Uni this upcoming year. That would be huge. But regardless, Phillies, Eagles, they always have great promotional type of stuff. So definitely keep an eye on that. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys are interested, check out your local Bagels & Co. Let them know that PHLY sent you. Head on over to thebagelsandco.com/sportslocator to find your local Bagels & Co. Thank you to Bagels & Co. to being one of our dear sponsors here today.
Yes, and if you're also looking to make a move and not just making a move from Mercedes to Ferrari, but a move from one house to the next, Mortgage CS can help you do that. Now, with Mortgage CS, it stands for Mortgage Concierge Service, and they do a great job of really connecting with you on a personal level. It's a white glove service right here in Philadelphia that provides you 24/7 access and also just wants to make the process of buying a house less stressful. Now, what's great about Mortgage CS is they sat down and spoke with us and just shared their ideas, their values, who they are, what they're all about. And Mortgage CS, they focus a lot on educating and empowering their clients. They want to really connect with you, and they want to make sure you feel comfortable coming to them at any time, morning, evening, night, with a question, with a comment. Maybe you want to talk about Ali Bedoya returning and being signed back with the Union. Maybe you want to talk about Lewis Hamilton. You can do all that any time of day with Mortgage CS. You can reach out to their CEO, Ben. His phone number that's on your screen. And for those listening on podcast platforms, his phone number, 267-391-7425. You can reach out via email, ben@mortgagecs.com. And you can also check them out at mortgagecs.com/PHOY any time of day to ask questions. And over at Mortgage CS, with the exceptional customer service they have, they also look to help their clients obtain ultra competitive rates and make sure they're really just simplifying the process for you. As an independent mortgage broker, they really want to make sure they're giving the full control of the lenders they work with. They provide 24/7 access, and they also are licensed in several different states, coast to coast. So at Mortgage CS, again, check them out, mortgagecs.com/PHLY. And this advertisement is not a commitment to lend or extend credit. Mortgage CS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker. All loans are subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions may apply. Company NMLS ID number 1464766, and you can visit mortgagecs.com for more information. Thoughts on Lewis Hamilton? I wanted to get our reads in. What's that?
Is that the F1 driver?
Yes. So Lewis Hamilton, for anybody that did not know, because news is just dropping left and right lately, he is a Formula One driver who has officially decided or announced he's leaving Mercedes and joining Ferrari. He's but it's weird because I know we were talking about it before the show. One of our social media guy, Chris, is a big NASCAR and racing guy. And he was saying how Lewis Hamilton had already recently kind of like, it seemed like he was going to be with Mercedes for a while. And then now Ferrari has confirmed that he's going to be a driver for 2025, the F1 season with them. So it's
Trav,
listen,
man, explain that in MLS terms.
Definitely explain that in MLS terms. It is giving, there's no loyalty. Go where they're paying you the most money. Go where you feel most appreciated. And Lewis Hamilton, 7-time F1 world champion. I didn't even realize he had won that many times.
That's a lot of money.
He's like, I'm out. This is Messi going to Inter Miami, maybe, because you're like, I've been following the MLS for so long. It's time I make that move. I think I'm not saying he's the Messi. Oh gosh, I'm not saying he's the Messi of racing, but it's a very shocking.
Oh, PHLY Union, Renee called Lewis Hamilton, Lionel Messi. Listen, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm not much an F1 person, so I don't understand like how big this is. But yeah, I mean, this sounds like a guy just not loyal. So I'm thinking like the first thing that came to my mind honestly was DeAndre Jordan. With that whole Mavs and Clippers situation, the 2010s.
Travman said it's like Bedoya going to Red Bull.
Okay, thank you, Travman.
Because Ferrari and Mercedes in general they're competing. And in racing, so I used to actually cover racing, fun fact.
Hey.
I used to do like NASCAR racing and stuff, and those were
didn't you cover, Renee?
I told you I've had like every job in the world. I didn't make that up. And I used to be like down on the racetrack with the drivers as they were like taking off and stuff. It was hot, it was loud. Definitely would feel like I was bursting into flames, but it was incredible. It was such an adrenaline rush. Like when their engines, when they start your engines, it's like, vroom, and you're standing there and you're like shaking with the road, and then they, that's
Renee,
my description.
Your Messi comparison may not be as far off as you think. So since Hamilton joined F1 full time in 2008, he's won the Formula One league, I guess it is. I don't follow it either.
It's like
but
that type of race.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Finished second 3 times. Finished third last year and has never finished worse than 6th.
Wow.
So he's pretty good. Messi, like, okay. Lionel Lewis. Okay. He is considered one of the most successful drivers in F1 history. So I guess therefore he is in the GOAT conversation. That's a good point, Tyler. Maybe I was more accurate than I thought. I could have gave myself a little more kudos than that. But it is shocking. He's a big name, and he's making a huge decision. We know what that means for money and business and all of that other extra stuff that comes with it, that he's not going to be driving in a Ferrari instead of a Mercedes.
I mean, I'll be honest. The way like world soccer's going, especially over in Europe, we're going to see that soon. Like we're going to see like Haaland like leaves for. It says he stays for City and then leaves for like United or something like that. I'm sure we're going to see it soon.
Basically. But no, it's interesting. This is where we are. There's a lot of news breaking today, or in this week, I should say. This is how we're starting. Yeah, this is how we're starting out February. Woohoo. So also, not only do we have the signing of Ali Bedoya, but the Union made another move in bringing in Oliver Zemla, who is a goalkeeper, originally born and raised in Germany, actually. Yeah. Played college. He went to Marshall University. Then he was drafted, let me make sure I have this correct. He inked his first professional contract with Louisville City, and then that was after having a trial period with the Colorado Rapids, and he was a starter, had 34 appearances, and then set actually a USL championship record for rookie shutouts with 13. Wow. And so with that move, the goalkeeper now gets added to the Union, and what's great about this is a couple of things. One is they signed him to a 2-year contract. They also had to acquire his college protected rights from Colorado Rapids, which is all logistics and everything, all that beautiful stuff that we love. But for Zemla, he is a goalkeeper that has good size. He's got a club option for 2026. He was a super draft 2nd round pick back. I'm sorry. I'm misreading that. Let me backtrack. So he was signed for a 2-year contract through 2025 with a club option for 2026. The Union, and then with that, they acquire his college protected rights in return for a super draft 2nd round pick in 2024, for this past 2024. So anyways, he will be added to the active roster following the receipt of getting his P1 visa. And it's a goalkeeper, guys. It's a goalkeeper. He's got great size. He's 6'3", 201. He's someone that is young. He's born in 98. So, he's got youth on his side. He's got good height. And he seems like he's just a steady, true backup that has the ability to now be able to, in the future, be a starter somewhere, but for now, be that temporary backup. And yes, I now have this right. In the past 2023 MLS Super Draft, that's where the draft pick was added, if any of that made sense.
Yeah, no.
Thursday, guys, Thursday.
So it's Oliver Semla?
Zemla.
Okay.
I had to listen to his name several times because his accent is really cool. As a German accent,
Yeah.
Zemla. Oliver Zemla.
A lot of those Eastern European countries we've had those issues with. We talked about when Kai Wagner came in. I was calling him Wagner
because his name looks like it could be Semmel, it could be Semla, it could be Samoli, but the S is pronounced like a Z.
Okay.
Zemla.
All right. Well, listen, I'd be lying to you guys if I've been watching Louisville City, especially since John Hackworth's not there anymore now that he's with St. Louis City. But what I do like, number one, I do like that Ernst stuck by his word. He did say he was going to bring in another goalkeeper, and he did bring another goalkeeper. As much as I like what I see from Holden Trent in practice and training and warm-ups, it's not the same as in-game situations. So Oliver comes in with starting experience. We talked about it during the last episode, the rise of the USL, the level, the quality is also getting better as well as the MLS. So it's no walk in the park down there in the USL. So I like that starting experience. He's young. We know the development that goes on here in Philadelphia. Look what Matt Freese is doing right now at NYCFC. Was 25, 26
years old.
He's still really young. A lot of room for development. And when Andre is going on international break, you don't have to rely on him for too many matches, but I think it's just the right amount of matches for him to get that experience and for us to win some games. Like I know last year, I hate to bring back the Joe Bendick days of that stretch where we had to ride with Joe Bendick, and I felt like every match it was like, Jim, put it, hold it, Trent, don't you dare put it, Joe Bendick back out there. And so I hope that this time around we can go through the bumps and bruises. If there is some with Zemla, Zemla could come out here and look like a baby Blake. We don't know that, so we'll have to wait and see. We'll obviously see here. Hopefully, we may be able to, knock on wood, get another stream in there for preseason. Yeah. Maybe we can get to see Zemla as well. But
okay. So here's the details on Zemla. That's if you haven't already seen them in the last 24 hours. So in 2023, 34 appearances in net. He had 72 saves, and as I mentioned, a league high 13 clean sheets. He also set a league record for the most clean sheets earned as a rookie. We like a guy that's coming in, breaking records, and making a name for himself. And then before Louisville City, he actually played for it's a German club. Karlsruhe SC Academy. That's my German guess from 2012 to 2018. And that was the club's second team that he played for in Oberliga Baden-Württemberg. I just wanted to take a crack at it, but I feel like I did decent, which is the fifth tier of the German football league system. But for him overall, the comments that we've heard about him from Ernst Tanner is that he had a standout campaign last year, which his numbers definitely back that up. Solidified himself as the best keeper in USL. We like that because as we talk about, the USL is to help give players that opportunity to be able to develop and be ready to step into Major League Soccer.
Yeah. And he gets to watch the
same thing as the Phillies with their prospects.
And he gets to watch the best goalkeeper in the MLS, so he knows what he's looking at.
Exactly. And then also he brings crucial experience. He's young enough to have time to develop, as we mentioned, and grow into the system that the Union have. And then they're also feeling like with the increase in international play, which will require, as we talked about before, Andre to be away, that they feel like Oliver can step in and fill that role. But I agree with you. I do feel like this isn't enough that we've seen from him. If he's the best in USL as a goalkeeper, he's ready for Major League Soccer. He's ready for that next step, hopefully. And we're going to get to see him in just enough, knock on wood, just enough games where he can get some confidence, he can get some reps, he can get feeling good about himself, and that you feel comfortable if needed, if you ever need to, rest Andre Blake, or God forbid an injury happens, or he's away playing with the Jamaican national team, that you can rely on Oliver to step in.
Yeah,
but Jillian, I need some of your German education because I don't know how I did with. I feel like the U with the double dots on top of it. Isn't that like a wort, like a Wurtenberg?
I just like Renee's face. It's like a
A wort. Right, Tyler? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, you know German.
I
Tyler.
didn't take any German. I don't know.
German's like a harsh language. I feel like
German's extremely difficult to learn.
Yes.
Very difficult.
They have their. I'm looking it up.
Different words, different dialects.
All right, here it is. Baden-Württemberg. Here's how you say it.
Baden-Württemberg.
Oh, I gotta wait till they like do the ad. So JP, I'll let you take it away while I'm learning. I should have did this before probably, but it's fine. Everything's fine.
No, I mean, so first off, I think that was so funny by what Julian said there about the starting to pay off taking the German there. You found it there? These German names are pretty confusing. Especially like I talked about that W and that V, like when you hear Wolfsburg and Werder Bremen.
Yeah, and that's what this was. Baden-Württemberg is how you say it.
Württemberg.
Württemberg. I was wrong. Württemberg. Now that's actually kind of fun to say though. He played for Baden-Württemberg.
I like it.
Okay,
we're gonna become the Union Württemberg here.
I'm done. I don't know how to say Elbe-Liga. I'm gonna Elbe-Liga. Baden-Württemberg.
You can still bail out now.
I'm
and
making
this
a
is
fool
your
of
German
myself.
lesson of the day.
Yeah, I'm. But now my competitive juices are like, I need to get this right.
Baden-Württemberg.
Yeah, the W. I should have known. It's like Wagner. It's a V. It's not a W. It's
She broke that down perfectly too.
The pronunciation is actually extremely helpful, Julian. Thank you. What's
Thank
up,
you,
Spiral
Julian.
Out? We're just learning German here.
Doop, doop.
I don't know Elbe-Liga, Baden-Württemberg. There we go. I'm done. Mic drop. Whoop.
That's your German club lesson of the day here, ladies and
Lord,
gentlemen.
listen, I'm just having fun here. I'm just trying to have fun.
Hey, we have to know this because I'm sure there's going to be more Union players that are going to Germany. Germany's a hotbed for American prospects.
Yeah.
So we got to know this.
And this is exactly what we've been wanting from the Union. Some moves that make sense. You lock in Ali Bedoya.
Yes.
You lock in a goalkeeper.
Yes.
And now I feel a little bit better because we also have had depth pieces. Of course, we've talked plenty of times from Marcus Anderson to Sanders Ngabo to Isaiah LaFleur and Hamir Berdecio, like different names that we've seen them sign since the season ended. Don't know how all of them are going to play out and if they're, if everyone's going to be able to play, period. But some of them did get a roster spot, like Sanders Ngabo. So
let me ask you a question.
roster spot for the CONCACAF roster. But
now that it seems like the deals are done, moves are done, do you feel comfortable with our depth? Because that's been the main question mark heading into next year.
I don't know. I still have to see it in a game to know.
But like even like the positions that were concerned, like the forward position, we're banking on Baribo to ball out. We're banking on Chris Donovan, Quinn Sullivan to take another steps. And I still don't have a backup 10. Joaquin Torres is not even on the CCC roster.
Well, we will get to the CCC roster in a moment because that is exactly what it comes down to is where are these guys fitting in on the depth chart?
Yeah.
Is what it comes down to.
It's kind of where we're at right now. Well, ladies and gentlemen, before we head into that, I want to let you know that we are getting close to the season. So with our next sponsor here, ladies and gentlemen, with the Game Time app, you can use that to get down to Subaru Park, ladies and gentlemen, when the season does kick off. Stressful buying for tickets, ladies and gentlemen, is no longer a thing because with the Game Time app, it is a free app, ladies and gentlemen, and you can go right down to Subaru Park, get your little tailgate on, and then, of course, right before the game, head on over to the app, find the best tickets. You can see where the seats are as well. By the way, there's no bad seats at Subaru Park either, but you can check out your seats, find the best price. You can get it right now. And right now, with our promo code on your first purchase over at the Game Time app, use the promo code PHLY and you'll get $20 off your first purchase with Game Time app. So download the free app, use the promo code for your first purchase, PHLY. We will see you down at Subaru Park this summer. And thank you again to our friends over at the Game Time app.
Baden-Württemberg. All right, let's get into some CONCACAF.
And from that, we go to CONCACAF.
Oh, and then one other thing, actually, before we move on. We did hear the rumors about Daniel Gazdag. Interest from
Trabzonspor.
Trabzonspor is how you're thinking?
I guess that's how I'm going to go with it.
Trabzonspor? Trabzonspor.
I don't know. It's Turkish, so you're giving British right now.
I was giving British. Trabzonspor. Okay, wait. Let me think more Turkish, maybe more Trabzonspor. Trabzonspor.
Did Jillian take any Turkish?
Yeah, right.
So
I can't keep up. With
what we're learning today is we're stupid in multiple languages. That's where
I
we're
can
at.
speak Spanish.
Hey, I can speak Spanish.
And
Tyler.
France. Parlez-vous français?
I didn't say you couldn't. I'm saying we can't speak German or Turkish.
Okay, wait, here it is. There's so many names to keep up with. I don't have time, or I probably should have time to look them all up. My apologies. Here's how you say Trabzonspor.
Put it up to the mic.
Trabzonspor. Okay, we weren't that far off.
All right.
I didn't roll the trab.
Tomorrow, I have a Turkish restaurant down the street from me. I'm gonna go to them. I'm gonna ask them, the kitchen mates. I'm gonna ask them about Trabzonspor.
Trab. Trabzonspor.
Trabzonspor. We're gonna talk some Trabzonspor.
So Daniel Gazdag, back to words, had interest from Trabzonspor, which is a premier club, and 3 championship clubs as well. So the comments that came out is that people were thinking, he's got to make a move. He's got to go right away because time's ticking and transfer windows are closing. And Daniel Gazdag, allegedly, Joe Tanzi was reporting, was basically saying, this is home. I'm good. AKA, drop the rumors. It was nice to finally get some quotes from a player, though, because I've been, as you all know, have been actively wanting some words from players.
Be nice.
All right, so now let's get into the CONCACAF Champions Cup. CONCACAF Champions Cup rosters. The lists are out. Every team can have a maximum of 35 players per club. It's important to know that as we're getting into the CONCACAF Champions Cup, you've got 27 of the best clubs from North America, Central America, and the Caribbean. 5 rounds, lots of soccer, lots of games. So the tournament does kick off in just 5 days on February 6th. And with that, teams also have flexibility within their rosters. If you don't have the maximum, I think the number is 32. If you don't have all 35 players rostered, you are able to still change your rosters, is what I remember.
Yeah, so if you have less than 35 players, you can increase the roster to 44 players up to a couple, which is weird. Like they give you like a generic couple hours before.
Yeah.
So what does that mean exactly? A couple hours.
It's very vague.
So are you able to just like hide a player, like pretend that they aren't in like, and then it's just like, oh my God, look who's on the pitch for the Union.
Basically,
that would be wild. I think.
Obi-Wan, what's up? Wee wee. Nice to have you here. Ciao. So yes, as you're mentioning, if you have less than 35 players, you can add up to 44 hours before a game to your roster. So that makes me encouraged. Here's the list. We have the list of the roster that dropped for the Union. And there's some names on here. And there's some names that are not on here that may have caught you by surprise. Mm-hmm. So there's the usual suspects, the expected ones. You've got Jack Elliott, you've got Jacob Glesnes, you've got Mikel Ua, you've got El Brujo, Jose Martinez, Julian Carranza, Daniel Gazdag, Holden Trent. I'm just reading this out loud for those on podcast platforms. Sorry, you two people. Sorry. Jeremy Raffanello, you've got Olivier Mbaizo, Jack McGlynn, Damian Lowe, Andre Blake, Jesus Bueno. It's interesting because they have their full names here. I feel like I'm doing
really
a disservice.
Put their government names out
I feel
there.
like I'm actually doing a disservice not reading their full government names. I'm sorry. Let me just do a couple. Holden MacArthur Trent.
Yo, MacArthur.
Mikael Brandorf Ua. Jack Ryan McGlynn. If that is not, there's a whole movie called Jack Ryan. Come on, McGlynn's. I like Jack.
We gotta start
Jack
the meme
Ryan,
now.
Jeez Louise. Damian Onandi Blake. Jesus Daniel Bueno Añez. Okay. You do
Bukaru.
Nagabo.
Bukaru, Jack Sanders, Nagawa.
I guess Bukaru. Yeah, that makes sense. There's a lot of Jacks on this team. We didn't even realize it, but Jack and Jacob's a very popular name for the Union.
For
Christopher
sure.
David Donovan. If that's not the most like Catholic sounding name.
What parish, Chris? What parish?
Yeah, exactly. My gosh. Nathan Lee William Harriel. That sounds like a president or something.
Seriously.
Sir Nathan Lee William Harriel.
Kai's is the best right here.
Kai Harley Wagner. That's awesome. Just Ty Baribo. Olwethu Pilwin.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, yeah. How do you think you say his the second name?
I
think the M is silent.
I don't even think I'm saying his first name right.
Olwethu Pilwenhele.
Possibly the M is silent.
Makanya.
Pilwenhele.
Pilwenhele.
Wenle.
Hele.
Could be.
Hele.
How about Quinn? Oh my God.
Sorry to people listening. Quinn Krippendorf Sullivan. If you don't look at that and think Gryffindor,
I kind of want to go up to when I see these players, just like call them by like their middle name. Like, what's up, Gryffindor? Great goal last week. I like that.
Okay,
one.
almost done. Marcus Adeni, Anderson Adedeji, and then Andrew Vincent Rick Jr. Just the wildest middle names. I love it though. It's great. That was fun. I had fun. Yeah. Jillian was like, good luck with with all the way through. We got through. I think Macanya. Okay. Anyway, so the point is, this is the roster. So some names on here. We've got someone like Andrew Vincent Rick Jr., who's on the list. No Hamir Berdecio. No Ali Bedoya. No David Vasquez. No Joaquin Torres. It's probably the biggest surprise to me.
Only 22 players, I counted.
Ooh.
Only 22.
And the max is 35. There's tons of options there.
So what would be the reasoning behind? Well, obviously Ali wasn't.
So someone like
Joaquin. Like we just talked about the 10. I mean, they put Rafinello. I mean, you can. That's another player we don't talk about, but like he doesn't really have a set position either.
Yeah.
Like he seems to be a 10. Like I think he played a lot of 10 with Union 2. My Union 2 people can confirm there. But he's listed as a forward. So that one really is a head scratcher. I guess we talked about before, not having a backup left back, but you can move Harriel. Both sides.
He's flexible to play on both sides.
Which is interesting.
So we know, obviously, like Oliver Zemla is going to be on this list. So that would be up to 23. He probably would be a shoo-in. I mean, obviously, Holden MacArthur's on there right now. So he's right now, him and Andrew Vincent. I am surprised that Joaquin's not on there. And now I'm wondering, with the addition of Oliver, what that's going to mean. That you're going to have 4 goalkeepers rostered. I know 35 is a large number. You've got plenty of space, but I'm interested. I don't know if you drop someone, and that I don't even know how that works, but I'm no CONCACAF Champions Cup roster expert. I won't even pretend to be.
Well, so my crazy mind started speculating because we've heard it before, if the Union could potentially be trying to move Joaquin Torres in some type of trade here. So my speculation was, if he's not on this roster, because I was just wondering why not put him on here, especially when you're looking for backup help in the attack.
Right.
Unless you are moving him, we are getting close, and this has been under wraps. So, listen, that's not a report. That's not official. It's just me going crazy up here.
I know Jillian saying in the chat they can add players, and from what she understands, you can't take them off. Like, I imagine you can't take players off.
But like,
maybe there's like an injury stipulation or something. But I do, for the goalkeepers, I understand, because you do need to have goalkeepers, but you can also just add them. Like, we know you can add. But okay, I'm going to leave that off to the side. As for Joaquin Torres, it does make me think there's something in the works, because to have like Ngabo on here and Rafinello on here and some other names that on paper, from what we've known, Joaquin Torres on the depth chart is technically higher than, but it's the Brandon Craig effect, I feel like. I think he's on. I think that they are actively realizing, like we've talked about, he's not the best fit. He is someone you could move to and get something in return, whatever that may look like. Not to mention, they have been actively, it seems like, looking to add in other young players to see who else is a better fit. Like, I think there's what I feel like is the vibe for the Union's roster. They have obviously the set veterans, the Jack Elliott's and Jack. Okay, wait. I'm getting ahead of myself. The set veterans, Jack Elliott, Andre, now Ali, Glessons. You know what you're gonna get. Daniel Gazdag, everyone. The next tier is that Jack McGlynn, Nate Harriel, Quinn Sullivan, Jesus Bueno, Ty Bonibo, where you're trying to see, okay, can you give us more? Yeah. But you're going to be there. You're going to be someone that's starting, or a top player that's going to be an impact player, but we just want more from you. Then there's that next tier of players where I feel like, and Chris Donovan is like slowly crawling his way out of this group of players that are still prove-it players. Like we've got a lot from you. We think that you can be someone that can develop and become in the mix of competing for a starting position, but you might not be there fully. That's the Chris Donovan group. And then there's the actual prospects group, if we're talking in baseball terms, of players where it's, okay, we're going to give you a run, we're going to give you a chance, whether it's Andrew Rick or Nagabo or,
all the way through.
Yeah, all the way through. We're gonna include you. We're gonna give you an opportunity. We'll see what you can do, and you might be able to work yourself into being a mainstay roster piece. And I think Joaquin Torres is in those bottom two tiers.
Yeah.
Like I think he's like a Chris Donovan, but the difference is Chris Donovan. Obviously, his goal that he scored in the playoffs was huge, but he gave more.
Mm-hmm.
Joaquin Torres is still like, are you a prospect type player where we should be making a move and moving on from you? Or should we be continuing as an everyday player? And some of these players, if they don't go on and do something when they get their time, they're going to be Union 2 players or, just even moved on to a different club, in my opinion.
It's confusing because in the closing presser of last year, Jim said that not that he messed up, but he could have done more to integrate Joaquin Torres into the squad. And he also mentioned like there was a plan for Joaquin Torres this year.
Mm-hmm.
And like, throughout that, I'm like wondering, well, okay, you did put Joaquin out there. Joaquin didn't really fit, or it didn't look like it was a proper fit when he was out there.
Yeah.
So like, what exactly would be the plan here in 2024 if you're trying to make him fit? So that's why, like, when he said that, and even like thinking about it throughout this offseason, like I just didn't understand having Joaquin here. Like I thought we saw what we needed to see. But that we're gonna have to wait and see what comes about this, if he does get added on later on, or if in fact that there is a move in place. There have been rumblings throughout the offseason about that potentially happening, but it is weird. It is weird, especially when you have so many spots left to add on.
Yeah.
You have some players that you could technically add in there. I mean, Periano is another player in there that didn't get brought up there. You're talking about those prospects that got to show themselves. Periano's brand new here, essentially.
Yep.
I know he's a homegrown, but it's just interesting. It really is.
So Joaquin Torres, he just turned 27. He just had a birthday, of course, on the 28th of January. And he's someone that I do believe in a thing of like, your time is up. At 27 years old, last year he played four of the CONCACAF games, 14 MLS games. If they don't know that if he's not proving and for certain a good fit at this point, I do feel like you got to move on. Like, I hate to say it because he's not this 18, 19-year-old where you can give him the benefit of the doubt of needing to mature, needing to have just time and experience. At 27, like what you are, you can still get better, but your ceiling's not as high. So I wouldn't be surprised if Joaquin Torres specifically is a guy that they didn't add him for that exact reason. They're considering either moving on from him, or they just feel like he's not in that top 22 group. We know if needed, we can always add him to the roster. But if you're unable to remove players, then those question mark players, Joaquin Torres, Periano, those guys, David Vasquez, they shouldn't take up a roster spot, because what if they don't perform well? And now they're taking up a roster spot and you instead want to have somebody else, and Ali Bedoya, in that role instead. So I think that it actually makes sense. Definitely like Periano and David Vasquez and those, it definitely makes sense that they're not on the roster. But Joaquin Torres, it just is like, we're not the only ones. I feel like this confirmed we're not the only ones that are seeing he's not a great fit, and potentially we might be hearing some news in the future.
I mean, listen, I just hope so for both sides.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if it's not a fit, it's not a fit. You're just not going to fit it in there unless we do go to wingers like we talked about last time. But I don't think that's going to happen. But it would be nice. It definitely would be nice to kind of throw something else out there. Something I did want to throw at you: should we be concerned at all over Leon Flock's injury? Not put on, obviously. That it would be understandable.
Oh yeah, he's not on there either.
Yeah, it would be understandable if he's not on there because of injury, but it really affected him last year, and not even just physically, but mentally, that affected him as well, because he just wants to be out there and going through. Right? Going through rehab sucks, and so when we're talking about going into this season, where are we at mentally and physically with Leon Flock?
So Leon Flock and Matt Rial also not on that roster. Now that I'm like processing more and more,
and Matt could play as a shuttle midfielder too. Like, there is versatility with him.
So I think those two are in the same conversation as Joaquin Torres, and where Brandon Craig was, where you're kind of at your back's against the wall. Leon Flock is unfortunate at 22 years old with the amount of injuries he's had. We remember Leon, what was it, 2021, when he was, because he got hurt. No, 2022, I guess it would have been. Prior to injury, Leon Flack was showcasing as a great midi that they could build something off of. He was showing versatility. You could put him kind of anywhere in the mix. He gave a little bit of aggression, and he was an engine, and he was getting forward, and he was creating, and he honestly is a big part of what they could use, whether as a back or a midfielder. And he was just steady. And then he's had injury after injury after injury, and hasn't been able to give you consistent, even back-to-back games.
I know.
So it's a shame because he's just been so injury bitten. He's still so young. Again, only 22 years old.
It's crazy.
But if Leon Flack is unable to stay healthy, it doesn't make sense to use a roster space for the Champions Cup with him, because you just don't know if he's even going to be able to play in the Champions Cup. And now you can have had that opportunity for someone else. For Matt Real, it's the same thing. Matt Real's had some injuries. Matt Real's been up and down. He's 24 years old, but they're still both young, that it's like you can't fully write them off yet. But I feel like is at a point now of, okay, Matt Real, you can't help us as a backup for outside back, or Leon Flack, you can't get back into the midfield, and you can't play for us. Forget just the Champions Cup roster. I don't know how much they're on the Union's everyday roster at all at this point moving forward. You just have to start having, like, you can't have these guys that are so injury bitten that you're putting any egg in their basket and they're unable to be a contributor.
Yeah. We're going to have to keep an eye on this. So first match against Deportivo Saprissa will be on February 20th. We'll keep an eye out from here until then. We have about 20 days until that match does go down. It's going to be a long flight as well to Costa Rica too. So we'll keep an eye out, see if there's any addition. I'm assuming Ali is going to be down there in Costa Rica. I would have to imagine that.
I hope.
Yeah, you need that.
I would think so. Yeah, it's just I'm trying to think of all the injuries that Leon Flack has had. He had a sports hernia. He had it's been a lot.
Yeah, sports hernia really was the bad one. Yeah.
What?
The sports hernia was really the bad one last year. Really affected him.
Oh, it's been wild. So just, he's one that if he could get healthy and stay healthy, I should say, he really could be a nice addition. Again, he's versatile. He actually, we've seen him play outside back. He can play in different roles for this team, but he has to be healthy to do that. So
that's right.
As a coach, that's what you're kind of banking on, those question mark, those maybes. Can we get something from one of them? I don't think it'll be Matt Real. We know he got some minutes in the first preseason game or the second preseason game. We know it could be Leon Flack, but he's got to stay healthy. We know Joaquin Torres has the aggression and the energy, but can he actually contribute? So hopefully in this next month, we can get one of these guys in a better spot.
Amen.
But they're not a big question mark. All right, last couple of things before we wrap up. It's my go-to line that Tyler loves because it means 20 more minutes, guys. No, we're going to wrap this up fast. So we did get some details. I wanted to just quickly run through about the Leagues Cup format changes that have happened. Some random phone numbers calling me. I don't know who that is. But the Leagues Cup has had some changes in their format. So with that, there's going to be brackets that they broke down into. They have an East and a West. And overall, it's 15 brackets of 3 teams. And Tyler, I think you have that graphic, right? Beautiful, Tyler.
Hey.
And then this is the list for the East specifically. Now, when you look at this, and actually I sent it to you and then I don't even have it myself. There it is. When you look at this, a couple things jump out at me. Club America and Columbus Crew, since they won their respective leagues, they get a bye into the round of 32. So they're not actually in the initial ranking. The Union are in that East 4 bracket with Charlotte and Cruz Azul. Every bracket, for the most part, has 2 MLS teams, except for Inter Miami's bracket, East 3, which is them, Club Puebla, and Club Tigres. But for the most part, every bracket has 2 MLS teams. There are 7 brackets on the East and 8 brackets on the West. And so similar to every other tournament that we've seen in the past, teams will now work through their grouping and then advance out of that into the next round with, of course, after that, they're going to, they have the rankings and they'll kind of re-rank them from there. So I'm interested to see what this new Leagues Cup format's going to be with the group stage into the knockout stage. They're not going to have any ties that are allowed. Okay. Each team will receive a point if the game is tied after 90 minutes. And then they'll have a penalty shootout to earn an additional point for whoever wins, which I feel like defeats the purpose, but it's okay. So it'll be interesting. But with that, you have a new format. why not change things up a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit different. I'm like looking at these, like this is a fun, like it was entertaining last year. Like everyone knows my thoughts. Like it was entertaining last year. I just don't feel like we need all this extra soccer. But like the worst part about it is like when you see these tournaments and groups come out, Renee. Like the first thing I look for is like who's the group of death.
Yeah.
Like what's the group? Like I'm so glad my team's not in, and like I don't even really kind of see that. West 2 kind of intrigues me.
Mm-hmm.
So Cade Cowell, who we talked about on the show. Like the first, it's kind of stipulation. The first American, the capped American, to represent and play for Chivas, which is huge. But obviously, he's got the Mexican passport. But he's gonna have San Jose, his former team, right there. He's gonna have to play them. LA Galaxy there. We all know the California Classico with them, so that should be a fun one. But our group should be interesting. Charlotte, I don't know what to make of Charlotte this year. I think they're doing good things internally. I think they're building the foundation properly now after 2 years in the league. I don't think they're there yet, and as Tyler's letting us know, Cruz Azul, 6th in Liga MX. They're always a tough outing too, no matter where. And I'm assuming all this is going to be played in the States again?
So that's the other thing that is different. As you look at the different brackets from the East and the West, they also changed it up in terms of creating regions. So they want to minimize travel for all the clubs. Now, the top part of the ranking is you will get a home game if you are the higher ranked team. So there are some, excuse me, predetermined venues in that, but it just at least will minimize the need to travel all over the country.
All right, so listen, when MLS teams are killing Liga MX teams, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear the fact that all the matches are played in these MLS stadiums. So I did want to see that, though, because I do think that's important, like playing in La Azteca, with 50,000 fans ready to throw a bag of piss at you is a real thing. And so, like, I do want to see those atmospheres. And I think that also bodes well for MLS teams. Like, being able to play in those type of atmospheres, it really – Cade Cowell actually just mentioned that, playing his first game with Chivas. That was one of the big differences there. So I do hope that they do kind of space it out and we do get some matches in Mexico.
Yeah. I think it'll be great. I mean, listen, there's different logistics they added into it with the brackets now being focused on – regionalized, first ranking the teams. They did not include the 2 champions in the ranking, but everybody else outside of Club America and the Columbus Crew were included in the rankings. And then also having hub privileges for League MX clubs. So now they have the chances to have, those games at a specific venue. Just trying to make it more under control. I just feel like the Leagues Cup was kind of just rolled out in this way of like bringing in the different teams, different leagues, different fans through that without, truly having a chance to plan out what makes sense for the players and the teams and their travel schedule instead of having them flying all over the place. So with having so many MLS teams, again, of these 15 brackets, every single bracket I looked at had 2 MLS teams, of course, because there's 29 in them. And so you're playing against an MLS team, you're playing against another team, but now you don't have to worry about flying all over the place. So I know Tyler's got a great nugget for games.
This is from MLS's website. So they're broken down, as you were talking about, the hubs to eliminate travel if they can. The Liga MX champion and the top 3 ranked clubs are granted hub privileges, which will minimize their travel and, quote, reward them with predetermined venues as the home team based on their League Cup's ranks. But all 77 games are, according to the MLS website, are going to be played across the United States and Canada and hosted in MLS stadiums.
Interesting.
Should be very interesting.
Okay.
But we'll see what happens with that one because it's a cool opportunity. The games are going to be broadcast on Apple TV, on the, the great Apple TV.
Which now I have to pay for.
But it will be broadcast on some other linear channels for the group stages that are in Mexico, the United States and Canada. So.
I know some of like those smaller Mexican clubs, like Tijuana, like Club Necaxa, like they don't bring out huge fans, but like Club America rolls in town, Chivas rolls in town. It's literally an away match for any MLS team that's hosting it. So it should be fun again this year. Yeah,
and it was fun down in a matchup, I should say, with Inter Miami and Al Nassr. That did not go as planned for anybody that bought tickets for that one. Everybody was expecting a Messi-Ronaldo showdown, and instead They got Ronaldo not even dressed, wasn't even out,
Nice.
forget playing, wasn't even dressed. And then Messi was not subbed in until the 84th minute of that 6-0 blowout. Talisca had a hat trick for Al Nassr as they won that one 6-0 and led to some major questions. I know there were some various opinions because it is still preseason for Inter Miami, of course. But it had many people saying, wait a minute, did we maybe overlook the fact that Inter Miami's defense is not that great? With all the firepower, of course, Luis Suarez being one of the final signings, and this is Team Barcelona. Okay, but you need some defense. And looking at some of those goals, too, they definitely got exposed defensively. So still preseason for everybody. I'm going to give them a pass. But I'm keeping an eye on Inter Miami if they're going to be a very lopsided offense-heavy team that can get caught in transition or just and run a play defensively if they don't have the same level of a defensive unit as they do offensively.
My boy David Ospina, former, I guess he still is, Colombian goalkeeper, gets the shutout, gets the clean sheet. I love to see that. So I guess we have to ask this for that community. So since Ronaldo didn't play and Messi got to play in there, so that adds to the GOAT debate, right? Because Messi actually played in a friend.
Somewhere someone's like, this is why Messi is the GOAT. He was subbed in at the 84th minute.
At least he played.
And Ronaldo didn't play at all. We saw him dressed up in the box. I don't know. I mean, I still think Messi's the GOAT just for other reasons.
Yeah,
but it is hilarious because somebody somewhere is literally going to say, like, Ronaldo was scared and he couldn't even play against Messi or something foolish that they'll spin.
That is the best. Well, I want to end this with one more tidbit, and hopefully Messi's in this tidbit.
Oh.
So, of course, Philadelphia loves the Jason Kelce and Travis Kelce podcast, New Heights. So, in the last episode yesterday, Jason did bring up the fact he wants to bring back backyard sports. Now, I know for a lot of us millennials, I don't know if Gen Z got to play with backyard sports. But for a lot of us in the late 90s, early 2000s who had a PC at home, we got to enjoy these games. And for me personally, I think people don't realize how important backyard soccer is to the MLS. If it wasn't for backyard soccer, I would have never known about the league. I got to play with Mike Pecky, Carlos Valderrama, Kobe Jones, all those players. I knew about those teams. I knew about those players because of backyard sports. So I think if you're an MLS fan hearing this news, you should be getting giddy because this game is etched in MLS history.
I don't disagree with you, JP. Like my go-to MLS team before the Union were a team, and this is how old backyard soccer was Dallas Burn. Yeah. Before they became
Dallas
FC
Burns,
Dallas
right.
Was Dallas Burn. And like
the horse looked cool.
It was awesome, right? That's the only reason I picked it. Yeah. I thought it looked cool. But like there is a group of sports fans about all of our collective ages who learned about the MLS through backyard soccer.
Exactly.
I will say, I feel like I keep talking about backyard sports, and I just had to go Google, and I'm like,
awesome.
oh, I want to cry.
It feels
like it was yesterday. Where did the time go? I'm like looking at backyard soccer and baseball and football, and I used to play all of these games. PlayStation back when it was like the round. There was the round PlayStation 1, and then there was the black PlayStation.
Yeah,
and these games are awesome. Like you just played, and it was just kind of like literally backyard sports. Like that's how it was in the neighborhood. It was the same exact thing where it's just you and your buddies hanging out. Let's play some soccer. Let's play some baseball. Let's play whatever sport. Let's play some basketball. Let's race each other. So you can climb up this thing, this tree the fastest. Like.
And guys, too, like looking back at how long ago it was, there's so many of these teams that are either rebranded or are no longer MLS teams.
That's crazy.
Like the Kansas City Wizards, for example,
they're now
have rebranded. The Tampa Bay Mutiny
are no longer here.
The Metro Stars.
Oh,
Red
wow.
Bull.
The Miami Fusion.
No longer here.
The Metro Stars.
Like it's a lot of these teams have either rebranded or become different teams or just have folded out of the league.
Oh my goodness.
It was
Give me the humongous melon heads all day.
There you go. There you go.
You want to take a trip down memory lane, do a Google search of backyard, all the backyard sports, and you are going to also talk about nostalgia.
The players they had for all the sports were dope, but like the players that they created, like Pablo Sanchez,
Pablo Sanchez.
they were great.
Yeah, they were.
Their trademarks. So MLS or not MLS, Jason Kelsey, please
Thank
bring
you.
the game back for all of us.
Thank
Even
you.
for these new generations. I'm
need
sure
this.
they would love it. I'm sure they'll fall in love with it.
Yeah, I mean, instead of, I'm going to sound so old with this line. Instead of you being on the TikTok, go play some backyard sports. I know what TikTok's called, but
Get off the
like,
TikTok,
get
start
off
playing
that
backyard
TikTok
sports.
and put your phone down and go outside and play, or at least if you're going to play on a game, play backyard sports. Those were the
Good
games.
times.
Oh man, such good times. All right, well, I know you wanted to wrap and just quickly hit on Paxton's news set for a loan, and then we will wrap up, Tyler.
Yeah, so we were all hoping that Paxton Harrison could come back to Philly, but it's not going to be in the cards. He has been loaned out to Vitesse Arnhem as we're continuing the trend here with these names, but
That seems accurate.
that is they play in the Eredivisie, so he's going to go to the Dutch league. I do believe they played PSV where Ricardo Pepi's at, but regardless, this is a great move. It's a loan deal for 6 months, no option to buy. He is still part of the Frankfurt plans, which is important to note here, guys. It's not just one of those moves that are trying to get rid of him eventually like they do with the U.S. Prospects here, but huge move for him, getting consistent playing time. It's really tough in Frankfurt when you got Mario Götze in front of you. So I love this for Paxton, and hopefully by fall of next year, he's in a rotation with Frankfurt.
Hopefully.
Knock
Go
on
ahead,
wood.
Paxton. We love that for you. Keep doing big things. Keep doing big things.
Big thanks.
So we'll keep an eye out. Let's hope that the next 48 hours are just as eventful as the last. A good eventful, of course. Let me clarify that, because that could go any direction. But it's been quite a time for the Philadelphia Union. If anybody thinks they're not doing anything, they are. They've made signings of some young players that they can develop. They've signed Ali Bedoya. They already, of course, had signed Kai Wagner. They've signed a goalkeeper in Oliver Zemla. Things are happening, guys. Moves are being made. So with that, we'll be back Tuesday live at 3:30 p.m. again to recap. There's some other topics that we're going to get into that I'm looking forward to, I should say. So hope you guys will join us. Of course, hit that subscribe button, like, follow, and tune in. For Tyler, JP, myself, Renee, go play some backyard sports, have some fun, and we'll see you on Tuesday, 3:30.
Dude.
We all silly like the mayor.